The award-winning Cinema Classics is produced by John DeSando and Johnny DiLoretto. Listen to the shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org. I'm John DeSando.
And I'm Johnny DiLoretto.
And this is Cinema Classics.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm doing that.
But anyway, who knows why? When you've got an imaginative director like Guillermo.
I knew we were going to have problems with
Which
it. I'm glad that you launched right into it. It says a lot about your character that you knew you were going to have trouble with that. You just launched into it, come hell or high water. Guillermo.
Oh, thank you.
The L's, you don't say the L's.
How about Del Toro? I got that right.
Guillermo, it is hard to say. Guillermo del Toro.
Anyway, he won for Shape.
So now that we got that out, we can refer to him as Del Toro.
All right. So Del Toro won Best Director and Best Motion Picture for in 2017 for The Shape of Water.
Undeservedly.
And although we're certainly not going to deconstruct that film, I'd like to tell you that 25 years ago, it got my eye for a film called Kronos.
Yeah.
You kind of got you got bit by this little scarab or something, and you were immortal.
Yeah, something like that. He was definitely, his earlier films are, where it's at for me. Kronos, and you know what I love is right after Kronos, I think because of the success of that movie, he got the job to direct Blade 2.
Okay, yeah.
Oh no, Kronos is 1993.
Right, all right, yeah.
Okay.
Devil's Backbone is really the one after that.
Well, no, you got Mimic there.
Yeah,
see,
which I don't know.
Yeah, Mimic, I'll tell you, I'll sum it up.
All right.
Is Mira Sorvino.
Oh, all right.
Right? I think right after her Oscar. This is another comment. This is what happens when you win an Oscar too early.
There we go.
You win an Oscar too early, then you think, okay, I'm going to just step off and make this Mimic movie, and then your whole trajectory is, out of whack. Mimic was a movie about like a giant cockroach or something. I can't even remember, but it was a flop.
But you were going to talk about Blade 2.
Yeah, so leading up to Blade 2, he gets, Blade, the first Blade with Wesley Snipes is a hit.
Yes.
And actually still a really great, fun comic book movie. And then Del Toro was hired to do the sequel. And I remember at the time seeing that movie and thinking, wow, this is one of the great sequels. He really elevated the material. He turned it into something interesting. It's, it's a fun, really bloody, but nuanced action movie about this superhero vampire.
Yeah, and he continues with Hellboy, doesn't he? In a kind of strange comic book-like way.
Yeah.
And
so Hellboy is another comic book hero. Of course, Del Toro is always drawn to the grotesque, the monstrous. That's this guy's big obsession, the humanity of monsters.
Yeah.
And I've heard interviews with him where he talks about his, the affection he felt with monsters, the affinity that he had with them as a child. I think because of his, grandparents or something, watching horror movies. So, Del Toro he's become a fanboy's director. He has an affectionate fan base out there, and he's often, people go to him for interviews about they want to know what Del Toro thinks about the industry. He always pops up in these.
Sure.
But I gotta say, he's more of an interesting guy, a voice, than he is a filmmaker anymore. I feel like he's lost that. He's lost something along the way.
Well, when you consider the impact of, in 2006, Pan's Labyrinth, he became a kind of avatar of fantasy. And along with what you were saying, just let me quote him. He says, if you're not operating on an instinctive level, you're not an artist. Reason over emotion is BS. Absolute BS. We suffocate ourselves in rules. I find fantasy liberating.
Oh, see, that's great. See? That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That quote is better than most of his movies. So, Pan's Labyrinth is the apex, right? Where he takes some of that monster, that B-movie monster stuff that he loved, and he elevates it. He puts it in the framework of this World War II anti-fascist
a little girl
message.
kind of
right?
escaping. Doesn't his monster have like an eye in his
Yeah,
hand?
he's got the eye in the hand, which became an iconic sort
I know it.
of symbol. And then I think after that, he struggles to find his voice again. Hellboy was... The Hellboy movies are good. They're not great. And then he does this thing, Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
Where he had probably all the money in the world to make this giant, what they call a kaiju movie, right? The giant Japanese monsters that come out of the sea, like Godzilla and whatnot. And then it sounds, how could you go wrong? Giant monsters fighting giant robots. And yet, he so overcomplicates that premise. It's hard not to fall asleep during them.
Isn't there a Pacific Rim out there now?
Yes, there's a Pacific
It's not
Rim.
his.
It's not his. No, which
Okay.
can only bode well, I would imagine. But
and then Crimson Peak before The Shape of Water.
yeah, missed that one.
And I did too. So
It's like a vampire movie,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, and he coming up, he is directing Pinocchio.
Now, see, I would be interested.
And,
in
and
that.
it sounds like he could do it.
And see, I like that because the structure of the story is there. The themes are already there. All he has to do is kind of deliver them and put his own unique spin on it.
Yeah.
You know?
And so you go way back to
But see,
2000.
now I'm afraid of this guy because he won the best director award, which means somehow I don't know, he'll think he's gonna be validated in a way he shouldn't have been. And now it's just like everything is gonna be self-important.
Well, I think he's still in the vanguard of Mexican directors. Iñárritu, Cuarón.
Mm-hmm.
So with some great films, those guys have, Children of Men and Gravity
Yeah.
for Cuarón, and Iñárritu's Revenant and Babel. So you're talking.
Revenant.
Yeah.
Yeah, here you go again.
I just
sound
like to wake you up now and then.
I'm awake. I'm awake.
But anyway, what I guess my point is, we've got some very creative business, or fantastical business,
Yeah.
coming out of Mexico. And right now, I think he's probably leading the pack after this Oscar winning.
He is an A-list director. I mean,
Yeah.
he is an A-list director. These other guys, yes, they are revered. They're award-winning directors. And you're right. I mean, they're not. You can't all be the same, right?
Yeah.
But certainly, Del Toro has achieved a degree of success and critical adulation that and commercial success.
And
too.
how much his background influences him. In 1997, his father was kidnapped for ransom, kept for 72 days until James Cameron interceded and they paid off the
Why
abductors.
James Cameron?
I don't know. Cameron could be a bud, don't you think?
This is a bizarre story.
I know, but anyway.
Well, why does
he
James
moved-
Cameron have to get
I
involved?
have no idea. They're probably friends. Both have a fantasy side to them, right?
Yeah.
And Del Toro moved his family from Mexico, even though he continues to film in Mexico. He moved them for safety out of there.
Huh.
Now, isn't that
That is fascinating. I need to learn more about this. What James Cameron did.
anyway? Rick, let's close, because as I like to do now and then in my digging,
Yeah.
I like to find out from our artists what his favorite is. And I found what
What his favorite film is.
Del Toro's favorite film
Let me
is.
guess.
Now, there's no way you can guess.
No?
Get out.
Why not?
No. I don't know. Because
Is
it's
it a classic monster movie?
Yes.
The Wolfman. No, Frankenstein.
Oh, you're good. The Bride of Frankenstein.
Bride of
Excellent.
Frankenstein.
All right.
I knew it was going to be one of those universal monster movies.
I knew. I think we should end by showing off your brilliance.
Okay, that's good.